I'd like to welcome y'all back to another episode of Beyond the Fit podcast, the place where y'all come for motivation, inspiration, uplifting, and the overall positive message. I'm your host, DJ. And man, today I just want to have a conversation about, man, just something that I've been, talking to some friends about, but something that I've just been dealing with personally. And that's, just understanding that life isn't always going to be easy. The things that you want to do, the person that you want to become, the places that you want to go, they're not always going to be easy to obtain. They're not going to always be easy to maintain. But, I was having a conversation with a few friends and we were just talking about, just everything that we've been going through. Me with not having a job, few of my friends kind of going through, some breakups. I even lost a very close friend of mine, and I didn't know how to feel. Like even when I got the text message telling me that he was gone, that he passed away because he was fighting. He had been battling with Crohn's disease for years. I want to say since like 2012, maybe 2011. Had just been battling in and out of the hospital, multiple surgeries. And he had gotten down to like where he was at one point in time, literally like skin and bones. It was just bad. And when I uh when I got the text that told me he was gone, I didn't know how to feel. I remember people calling me and texting me, asking me how I was doing, checking on me. Um, but I didn't know what to think. I didn't know what to feel. Didn't know what to say because it's just like on one hand, you're not thinking it's real because I know that I was always thinking, I'll go see him tomorrow, like when whether it was him in the hospital or whatever. I just kept saying tomorrow or this weekend. And and never in my wildest dreams that I think that tomorrow will never come or I would never get an opportunity to see him again. So I didn't know what to feel. And then his funeral came, went to the funeral, had no intentions of speaking, no intentions of saying anything. And man, it was a kid went up there and said what he just talking about some things that experiences that he had. And it was just like, man, I know I need to say something, but I was just scared, didn't know what to say, didn't obviously wasn't planning on saying anything. So then his cousin got up there and she was like, I'm gonna read a few cards to give y'all enough courage to, to say what you need to say to him. And so once she got through reading the cards, somebody else went up there, and then the kid went back up there a second time. So I was like, man, if he going up here a second time, I need to get up and say something. So I did. I got up there, and man, as soon as the kid handed the mic to me, it was just like it hit me all in that moment. Like, man, I'll never see my friend again. And so many times I could have went and seen him. So many times I said tomorrow and all this stuff. So it was just like everything was just hitting me all at once. But I spoke, said what I needed to say. Told him that I loved him, that I was thankful for him, for always being a friend, always extending his home to me, always, no matter what I was going through, his doors were always open to me. So I was thanking him and I was thanking his mom too as well, for again just always leaving that door open for me, no matter what I was going through. I knew that I could always go over there and just kind of chill, relax, vibe out, get my mind right, whatever. So yeah, but so again, all of us we're just talking, going back to the conversation. I was just talking about everything that we've been going through. And, you know, one of my friends just started a job and he's loving it. He's really enjoying it. He's making good money. He's finally found that job that he feels like he can make a career out of. He could really see himself retiring there. He's only been there for a couple of months, and but everything so far so good. It's been good for him. So that's a blessing. But it wasn't an easy journey to get there. He had been dealing with a lot. Some things I knew about, other things I didn't. We talked about all those things I didn't know, that he was kind of dealing with drug abuse and all of this stuff, just kind of spiraling and things like that. And so to see where he is now, but just to first of all to hear about the things that I didn't know about, to hear that he dealt with those things, and then to see where he is now, all you can do is just be thankful and appreciative, because one thing that I do understand, and it crystallized even more talking to him, is like things could always be worse. No matter how bad things are, things could always be worse, but it's never going to be easy. So obviously I'm talking about not having a job. Of course, Christmas just passed. So hopefully going to start getting some calls. But when your family needs you and you're not in a place to help provide for them, it does a lot to your mental. It does a lot. It does a number on your mental. You know what I'm saying? And that's just what I was talking about. And it just felt good to have people around me supporting me, kind of keeping me up and reminding me that things could be a lot worse, and that I have a lot of things to be thankful for, and not to focus so much on the negative or what you can't do or what you can't provide. Focus on the things that you can do, with the ways that you can help, the ways that what you can offer until something comes along. Because, and I know I've talked about it before, it's so easy to get caught up in that depression and get lost in those thoughts of what you don't have or what you can't do, your inadequacies and things like that, or the areas where you lack. It's so easy to get caught up in that, but again, just talking to them and getting those fresh perspectives about everything. And like I said, just hearing about how my friend, was struggling so much by himself, it was just a lot to take in. But it also helped me to realize that, number one, my situation isn't as bad as I think it is, and number two, that just because I'm not where I need to be doesn't mean that I can't get there, that I won't get there. And I have to quit looking at things like it's everything's supposed to be easy. I'm supposed to have this smooth transition from this job to the next. Like, you're going to have your tough times, you're going to have your rough patches, and not everything is going to be easy. There's going to be challenges, there's going to be bumps in the road, there's going to be setbacks. Things are going to hit a lot harder than maybe you thought. No matter how prepared you thought you were, there may be things that you just were not prepared for, or those things just hit a lot harder than you thought they would. And so that's just what we were talking about. And that was the point of, just talking about today's episode, was really just about just letting people know that it's not always going to be easy. You know what I'm saying? But that's okay. That's life. Life isn't easy all the time. We don't get to live life on easy mode all the time, especially as adults. Even as children, you got plenty of children who are going through unfortunate things because of the adults in their lives, not doing what they need to be doing. But you know, we don't get to live life on easy mode all the time. Now, granted, there are times, if you're blessed enough, that you have stretches in your life where everything does come to you easy, or everything does feel easy. But that may be the result of all the hard work and all the tough times that you went through before that point. And I had to kind of realize that I was living in this delusion of, I expected everything to be easy. I expected everything to be smooth. I expected everything to work in my favor. And then once things weren't going the way that I expected them to, the first sign of struggle, the first sign of turmoil, it was like that switch of negativity started to turn on. And luckily, again, because I've been going to therapy and I've been understanding the importance of having the right type of people around you and also having your own stronger mental resiliency, I've been able to, for the most part, catch it myself. But I would be lying if I said I didn't have days where just mentally I've slipped through the cracks. And, luckily I've had, just people just checking on me constantly, um, and kind of helping me to kind of catch myself, or they'll catch it when I don't, of me just kind of not being in that mental space that I need to be in, or me being in a mental space that I don't need to be in, and them helping me catch it and hopefully, fight through it, get through it. But man, just kind of hoping and praying that now that the holidays are getting ready to be over with, that I'll start getting some callbacks, because it's not easy watching the people that you care about and the people that you love struggle because the weight that you were carrying, you're no longer able to carry in this moment. And it doesn't mean that they can't handle it. You just hate seeing it. And I know, especially for me, it makes me just feel less than, and so it's a battle to deal with that, because that's a terrible feeling. I don't wish that on anybody, but you know I have to just keep reminding myself that there are things that I can be doing, that this isn't going to last forever. And I think that's another place where I mess up, is just assuming that this is going to last way longer than it probably will. And excuse me, and just putting myself in a way worse place than I need to, because I'm overanalyzing, or I'm overthinking, or I'm over criticizing every single move. And now I'm in a place where now I'm questioning what's already been done. The move was already made. I already, left the job for the reasons, that I needed to leave, for my mental. And now it's like I have my days where I question that, even though I know at the time it was what I needed to do, because I had been dealing with it I had been in that mental space for 6 months. And so, and it wasn't getting any better. So it was just a lot on me mentally and emotionally. And so now that I'm in the place where I'm feeling it, it's making me have my days and my moments where I go back to like what I could have done better, what I should have done, or that coulda, shoulda, would have game that we play with us in our heads when, things aren't going the way we want them to. And it'll have us doing things or saying things that we don't mean, or that we will regret. But again, I've just been so lucky, so blessed, so thankful to have good people around me, to always catch me when I'm falling, to always help pick me up when I fall, to help remind me that this isn't the end of my story, and I don't know what's at the end of this struggle, but I have to stop running from it too, though. I have to embrace it. Like, this is my reality right now. Doesn't mean that this is going to be my reality forever, but this is what I'm going through right now, and I have to learn how to sit in it. And it's just so hard, because my natural instinct is to run from it. My natural instinct is to run away from adversity, or run away from hard times, or run away from, when I'm thinking about, a decision that I may have made that wasn't the right decision, or I made it when I was in a bad headspace, or an impulsive decision, whatever the case may be. So the natural thought is, of course, to just run and to, not think about it. But I think that that's what puts me in an even worse space, is not taking my time with it, not taking my time to really figure out what got me to that point, what I could have done better, because I know there are things that I can't control. I can't control other people's emotions. I can't control other people, the way they feel or the way they approach things. But what I can control is me, how I react, and the things that I can do to make sure that the next time something like, that I went through with my last job, or just in life, period, going forward, how can I better handle those things? But without the right people around you, especially if you're the type of person who will get lost in your own head, it's not an easy thing to do. It's not an easy thing to quiet your mind, or to be still in moments where everything in your head is telling you to go left, or it's telling you to go right, or it's telling you to go backwards, to just be still, or to move forward, or to, just kind of be quiet and and work through your thoughts. It's not the easiest thing. It's not the easiest thing to do, especially again when you're putting that pressure on yourself, because nobody else is putting the pressure on me. It's just me knowing that, hey, when I had my job, I was able to do this. I was able to provide here. I was able to help here. I was able to lift things here and make things easier for the people around me in this area. And so now, not being able to do those things, I just naturally put a lot of pressure on myself, and it gets heavy, you know what I'm saying? But again, just talking to my people, talking to the people around me, it has helped. And another thing that's kind of thrown me off is, because I'm not working, I don't have insurance, so I'm not able to talk to my therapist. So, you know, it's just it's just a lot of stuff. And I know that if I allow it to, that a snowball effect will get crazy, and that pressure that I'm putting on myself will build to a place to where I can no longer, afford to move. I can no longer afford to think. I'll get so lost in the depression and so lost in my thoughts that I don't know which way is up, which way is down. So every single day is a battle, and it is hard. And there are days when I win, and there are days when, I let it get the best of me. But I have people around me to reminding me to fight, to keep reminding me to keep pushing, to keep moving forward, to keep taking those steps, to understand that I don't have to do it by myself, to understand that I have people around me who can help lift me up, until I can get on my feet. I also have to learn how to put my pride to the side and ask for the help, and not only asking for the help, but accepting the help once I ask. Or even if I don't ask and they know what's going on and they just naturally give it, I have to be willing to accept it. I have to be willing to embrace it. And that isn't always the easiest thing to do for me, but I know that that's one of the things that I'm learning in this stretch of my life right now, is learning how to ask for help and learning how to accept the help when it's given. Because I know I've talked about it before. I've just been the type of person who just stays to myself, and I just tell myself I'll get over it, or I'll get through it. I'll find a way. I'll make a way, whatever the case may be. That has just been my thing. That's been my motto. That's been what I've believed. But I also understand that there are times when it's not okay. And there are times when I don't know if I'm going to get through this, or I don't know how I'm going to get through this, or there's no way for me to get through this by myself. I have to lean on my people. But I don't want it to get to the point to where that's my last um option. I don't want it to get to the point to where it's built up so bad that I, kind of, made myself a nervous wreck, when I could have just gone to the people around me and just leaned on them. Again, it doesn't have to be financially. It could just be moral support, emotional support. It could just be getting me out of, the house for a couple of hours, whatever the case may be. And that's why I'm so thankful for the gym, because the gym also gives me that break to where I don't think about anything other than, what set I'm on, what reps I'm doing, on the treadmill, just, kind of getting my head get me in a clear neutral space where, my mind isn't on the stresses and the struggles of what I'm going through. And a lot of it I'm putting on myself, because no matter how much somebody may tell me, I got it until you get to where you need to be. I just naturally put that extra weight on myself to be like, yeah, I hear you, and I can trust that you got it, and I can believe that you got it. But it's like it's still that thing in me that's like, okay, I need to go get this as soon as possible. I need to go get this as quick as possible. I need this to happen now. And when those things aren't happening on the timeline that I want them to happen on, then it's like naturally now the stress starts to happen because now I start to tell myself, is it ever going to happen? Is it ever going to get better? Even though it will, it just may not be when I want it to. And you know how that goes. Like, you just start to get into the extremes because again, it's not going the way you wanted to go, or it's not going as fast as you wanted to go, or it's not going according to your timeline or your plan. So now in your mind, it's like, will it ever happen? Is that ever going to be, the reality? You questioning everything. And so, and you'll get so caught up in your head, or I've gotten so caught up in my head before that I don't even notice that I'm spiraling. It's just a part of my everyday thing where I'm just like questioning stuff. And because I'm doing it so silently, and because people are just so used to me being to myself and being quiet, that it's so easy for I can understand why some people may think nothing's going on because that's just my normal self. Because I'll still check in with people. I'll still ask people how they're doing, even though I'm, nowhere near the right mental space. But because it's just so natural for me to be like, hey, how you doing? Just checking on you, how your day going, whatever the case may be. They may not know that that I'm going through what I'm going through, because I can think now, even as I'm saying that, I can think in my head of several conversations where people have asked me, how you been? How's your day going? How's this and how's that? And I've told none of them, like, well, I left my job and, just looking for something new, whatever the case may be. I haven't told plenty of people who I could have told. So it's like I'm trying to get out of that mindset of, okay, well, I don't want to put that pressure on anybody else. I don't want to put that load on anybody else. You know what I'm saying? And trying to get out of that mindset and just being like, hey, because one of my friends may have an answer for me. They may know someone who's hiring right now. And so by not giving them an opportunity to know what's going on, I'm also not giving myself the opportunity. I might be missing out on the opportunity because I'm not saying anything. So again, that's something that I'm battling with, because again, my first nature, my first go-to is just to keep it to myself, because in my mind, I want this to be about them being able to unload whatever they're going through on, what to try to lighten their load. But I'm also realizing that I'm a part of the reason why I'm a part of my own destruction, because even though deep down I know that I'm already putting a load on myself, I'm now extending an offer to someone else to now put their load on me, and whatever they're going through emotionally, mentally, financially, whatever the case may be. Now I'm extending that branch of, okay, you can dump that onto my plate as well, and you can go ahead. And at no point in time do I say, hey, well, let me release, or let me unload some of my burdens on, some of the people around me. Or even when I do, it's I feel like I have to be in a better place. Like I got to be a place where things are okay, but I just had a bad day. Let me tell them about my bad day. I don't like, but when I'm going through things, like really going through it, and it's big and it's a daily thing, I feel like, I got to go through that by myself. If it's one isolated thing, yeah, I can talk about that and be like, yeah, had to handle this. It was a bad day, but we talked about it. Woo, 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 everything's good. That I can easily let go of, you know what I'm saying? And I can talk about those things and I can vent about that. But when it's something that is every single day, something that I'm struggling with every single day, battling with every single day, it's a lot harder to speak on those things. And so that's why it was good to, number one, go to the funeral, because I was able to release a lot of emotion and let a lot of things go, and ask, my brother for forgiveness for, not being as good of a friend and not being there as much as I should have been in his time of need. But I got to also catch up with some people, talk to some people that I hadn't seen in years. And with the conversation that I had the other day with a few of my friends, it allowed me to, just finally, just talk about how hurt I've been, or how, how much I'm hurting, going through the things that I'm going through, and being able to say it out loud and say it in front of people that I trust and I care about, and to receive a lot of love and a lot of energy, and for them to be, always texting me about jobs and this and that. It was just a good feeling. It took a lot of pressure off of me to know that I can open up and, share, give myself, excuse me, that they've given me a space where I can be a little emotional, I can be a little vulnerable, I can open up and, really talk about the things that I want to talk about, and they have the capacity to handle what I'm going through without making me feel bad about it, or making me feel like draining them. So it was a lot. It was definitely a huge deal for me, and I'm thankful for it, and I'm appreciative of, again, them creating that space for me and allowing me to get that off my chest. And so I say all of that to say it's so important to make sure that you have people like that in your lives that you can go to in your time of need. Granted, yes, they may not be able to help you financially. They may not have the answers for you, but the fact that you can go to them with your problems and not feel any judgment, to be able to just express yourself to them, to be able to vent and just get it off your chest, to get it off your mind, to get that weight off you, because you've been holding it in by yourself for so long. You feel like you're the only one who can do it. You got to battle through everything by yourself. Just to know that you have people in your corner battling with you is a huge thing. And understand that life is going to be full of hard times. It's not always going to be easy. Yes, you're going to have your easy moments. You're going to have your stretches. You're going to have your days. You're going to have your moments where everything feels easy. Everything feels right. Everything feels like it's just lining up perfectly. And when you're going through those moments, appreciate them, because they're rare and they're beautiful things. But understand that life is a struggle. Life is hard times. Life is not going to be easy, but when you have the right people around you, they can make it a little easier. They can make that load a little lighter. They can make that journey feel a lot less painful, a lot less arduous. But you still got to go through those tough times. Those tough times help make you. Those tough times help you to appreciate the good times. Those down times help you to appreciate when you're up, when you have your moments, when it's your time, when everything's lining up. You are so much more thankful, because you realize how bad life can be, and you realize how far you can fall when it's like on those down times. So when you on your way up, or when you're at the peak, or whatever the case may be, when life is just good, appreciate those things. Even if it feels boring, even if it feels simple, just understand life could always be worse. There's going to always be people who are praying to be in your position, where you have that job, you have the car, you have the house, you have the family. And yes, your car may be giving you trouble. Yes, you may be having, stressful times with the family. Yes, the job may not be perfect, and you have your good and your bad days, but you have people out here who don't have anything and are praying for your position, are praying, spending every single night, every single day, every single moment of their lives, praying for the type of life that a lot of us take for granted. So, man, be appreciative of your life, especially if you're in a place where everything is smooth, everything is in a good space. Appreciate that. That doesn't mean you don't fight for it to get better. That doesn't mean that you don't keep pushing for more, if that's what you want. Doesn't mean that you don't find ways to improve and ways to, make things better for yourself. But always take time to appreciate where you are. And that's something that I have to tell myself. Even though I'm not where I want to be, there are so many things to be thankful for, that I have a roof over my head, that I have clothes on my back, that I have a phone that that works, an able body so I can get to the gym, a car that works. It's so many things for me to be grateful and appreciative and thankful for, and I have to remind myself of that. And I have to make sure that I have people around me to remind me, because it's so easy to get lost in what we don't have and what we can't do and what we can't afford, or whatever, the things that we don't have. It's so easy to get caught up in those things that we forget to be thankful for the things that we have, and we take those things for granted because they're there every single day. And sometimes it takes losing things and to make us appreciate the things that we have. But again, man, just be thankful for everything and understand that, it's not going to always be easy, but you keep pushing anyway. But that's it for today's episode. I want to thank everybody for listening on whatever platforms y'all are listening on. I appreciate all of that, all the love that I've been receiving. And to everybody on YouTube, watching on YouTube, please continue to like, share, comment, and subscribe. I want to thank y'all as well. Again, appreciate all the love that I've been getting on all the spaces that I've been receiving the love from. And until the next time we meet, y'all stay blessed.